I'm going to be doing a little landscape in soft pastels. I have my pastels out. And I also have little blending sticks. Basically, it's rolled paper with a point to it to help it with blending. I also have my pastel pencils for more delicate lines and work. So let's get started. I'm going to start the sky area, and I'm just making little, what they call hatch marks, just little straight lines just up in the sky area. We'll blending different shades into it as well. I'm leaving some areas for clouds. Mostly we'll use the white of the paper, though we do have white here to actually work with. And down the bottom of the clouds, I'm going to add just a little touch of the pink. And that'll get blended in. So we're just working our way across, leaving room for the clouds. I'm going to start in this area, do the same thing. Just working back and forth. Coming down here to the bottom of the clouds. I do have paper towels. It'll help keep my fingers clean, because I will be using those to do some blending. I also will use like the corner of the paper towels to do some blending as well. Let's get a little bit of the pink in there, at the bottom of some of these clouds. Not doing a lot, just touch here and there. I'm going to switch over to some green. I'm going to have some trees up in this area. We can start outlining them. If you have a picture you can look at, a landscape, and kind of follow something. I'm just sort of making it up as I go, but it's easier for you to do something with an actual photo in front of you. That's fine. You decide. You want to do a particular picture. Maybe you went up north and took some photos. I'm going to add some blue in some of the areas. Maybe a little of the sky showing through here and there. Maybe down here we're going to have some nice pink floating clouds in here. Or maybe a glow in the sky. I know it looks sort of choppy right now, but we're just, once we start blending it, I go in with a different, little darker pink below that. And we can add some blue in later if we need to darken it, or maybe get sort of a lavender color. Here we're going to go back into the greens. Maybe some landscapes down here. Maybe there's a grassy hill. And trees, of course, will come down. We'll add different greens to highlight or darken. In fact, I'm going to take a little bit of your yellows and on the, let's get a little brighter. If the light's coming in, if the light's coming this way, you want to keep all your highlights on that side. If it's lights in the middle, then you're going to sort of get where the highlights this side, and then of course on that side. Let's fill in a little more of the blues. And then we'll start doing some blending. Most of my blending I'm going to be doing with my fingers. And we can go in, like I said, and add more color. As we see over here, I can take a little bit of some of our darker blues, maybe in a corner it's a little bit darker. Let's see. Right now I'm avoiding the greens. I don't want a green sky. And you can leave some of the hatch marks in there. It's up to you. If you can rub this till it's perfectly smooth. And I kind of like some of those lines in there. It just gives it a little more character. Right now I'm just trying to work that sky area in. Since I've got paper towel, I'm just folding it clean some of the, and like I said, if you get an area too dark, you can even come in and use the paper towel to help blend. Right now that's looking pretty good. Now I'm going to kind of go into the clouds, bring a little bit of that color up into the bottom of the clouds. I don't have any color in it right now, just using whatever color I'm picking up my fingers and blending it up into the base of the clouds. Now I'm going to take my white and right along the top I'm going to kind of form a little fluffy . Back to my pinks. And then the white and kind of blend that. By adding the white, it gives it something to, it moves around a little bit and blends with the different colors around. And right now I'm pushing very hard up towards the top, kind of lighten that up a little bit. All right, I'm going to do the same here. I'm going to go on the top of those clouds. I'm just wiping the edge off. A little in the middle. I'm going to take some of the pink, and you can even take some of the pink just with your finger, rubbing that, and kind of gives you a little, that little pink glow without. I can do the same thing here. And you can even depends on how much of a pink glow you want on those clouds. Let's go on the top here. I'm wiping the edge of the chalk up as I pick up the blue on it. Okay, wipe my fingers a little bit. Bring that pink up into the base of the clouds. I'm just sort of twisting it and getting this just down towards here. Bring that pink up into the sky. So you see you got a nice pink glow, but I'm working it up into the blue a little. And I'm going to take the white along the bottom here. Sort of lighten it up a little bit. Right along that horizon. Just layering more layers over it, kind of forming, maybe making those clouds look a little more blustery. Alright, I'm going to take some of the darker blue. This time I'm only going to take my finger and sort of spots here and there, just darken a few areas up along the top here. And you can see the texture of the paper underneath. Okay, that looks pretty good. I think I'm going to add just a little dark underneath that one there. Okay, now I'm just basically wiping my fingers off. I'm going to get down into the greens here. Kind of give it the basic shape of the tree. We'll come in and add details. Right now we're just sort of getting a general idea of the shape of the trees and what's there. All right, along here, I'm kind of going up and down here, almost like it's grass on top of a hill, or maybe some little trees or shrubs or something. Just bringing that color down, leading it down into the brown here. Okay, bring a little more color. Not touching the tops, just bring some. And down here, I'm going to fade it out. Maybe we've got a little hill there or something. Okay. Here, I'm going to kind of sweep it down. Maybe bring the landscape down here. I'm going to go with a little brighter green towards the center, since that's where the light is. I'm just kind of using the side. Now I'm just more or less forming the hills. Here, but I want a more distinct line in here. Okay, now I can take my greens and I can start adding some more distinct details, as if there's a tree, maybe front of this one. I'm just kind of lightly blending. I don't want to lose the actual structure. Some yellow here. Maybe there's a little tree behind that. And let's see. Oops. Just adding a touch. Just lightening up that side of the tree. I'm going to go into my browns. Maybe you can see a little trunk here. And if you're more comfortable, we do have the pencils, which we can actually draw if you're more comfortable with that. Maybe the trunk here. And if you don't push too hard, it stays fairly light, but you can always go in and highlight it a little bit with a little bit of highlight on the brighter side, but that looks good. That looks fine. We got a couple trees there, and we'll do the same thing over here. Want to get the top of these here a little bit more. And like I said, you can work in layers. Maybe another layer here. So they come up the hills. Let's see that sort of coming down. Looks like we got hills behind hills. And you can play around with this as much as you want. Adding the different layers. The more layers you have, the more planes you have, further back it keeps pushing that. And maybe this one comes down a little bit like that. Okay. And I leave a little lighter misty area right here where the grass planes come down. And I'm just barely touching, I'm just lightly grazing that pastel across there. I just want to darken it a little bit, maybe some shadows under the trees. It also sets those trees right down by kind of looks good. Okay, let's work on this other side. I'm gonna get I have a slightly darker green in here. It's almost like a pine tree type. And you don't have to put the pine trees. You can stick with this kind. I like to do several of my paintings or my drawings and that to show you how to do it. I mean, it's up to you if you want pine trees or do you just want the nice maples or whatever you want. This I'm gonna kind of behind it a little bit. And nice. This one I'm gonna use my little blending stick. I'm trying to get my hand out of the way so you can see what I'm doing here. I'm just barely touching as I'm going across and just kind of lightly doing some blending. Right in the center, I'm going to kind of, maybe here and there, put a little line. You can even do a little bit of brown here and there, like there's a trunk in there. That I'll just sort of, okay, and I'm just there's your evergreen. And if you lose some of it, you can go back in, hit a couple areas. That top a little darker. There. We've got one. Oh, I like that one so much. Let's go. We'll make a small one over here. Give him a little. Go in with my darker. And where's my brown? A little bit of trunk in there. Same thing. Back and forth. Maybe go back and just add a few branches here and there. But another little top. All right. So we've got that, and over here I'm gonna, this is my darker, maybe there's some shadows coming out of here. And that sort of separates back there. Bring this out a little more. Maybe some of my bright green right in here. This is where the sun's kind of hitting it. And then here I'm going to take one of my pencils for more detailed work. Maybe it's a little tree here. And it's a little too light, so I'm going to grab some of my blues. Kind of mix the blues and greens there. Maybe over here, there's something growing here. Little greens. And I can come in with my little, I've got a small blender here, and just sort of pull something up here. You just got something right here along the horizon. Not much, you don't need a lot. In fact, I'm just taking a little bit of the color I have on there and just kind of pulling up a little bit. This looks like something's growing along the edges there. Just give it some contrast. All right. So far, I like the sky. I think I'm going to add just a touch of, oops, I want a lighter blue. Right along the edge of that pink. Kind of give it sort of a slightly darker edge. Okay. Here, coming out of here, we just got a little stream coming down. And out here it gets a little wider. And I keep those lines at least fairly straight on the water as it comes down. Here. Got some white in there. And I'm going to take my pencil. And the water's kind of maybe a little waterfall here. Don't want much. I go in with my browns. Oh, let's see. Here, maybe there's a little rock there. There's one there. Maybe a couple little stones back in here. And take a little white, strike it across the top. It's a little highlight. I'm going to pull those down. And then my green, maybe pull some little grasses below. I don't want a lot of detail, I just something looks like something's holding the water back here. Alright, okay. Going back to my white. And below this, I'm going to use the white of the paper underneath it. Right now it's just the bubbles underneath the water. And where's my little mist coming up? And the white. And I've got a little bit of the blue on here. Maybe some just here and there. You can see a few shadows in there. All right, let's go back to my there. A few more. Okay, now I'm going to just use my blue. That's basically the outline of it, the shoreline, more or less. Yeah. And then I'm going to just run some lines through there. Like I said, keep those lines fairly straight. Okay, let me get my paper towel. My hands are getting pretty dirty there. Kind of wipe that off and use that to kind of do some blending. If you get some green in it, that's fine. You get some reflections off the grass. And I think I'm gonna bring this out a little bit wider here. Right off the paper. I doubt if my mat's gonna come that far down, but that's all right. That's the beauty of doing this. You can lay your mat on it, move it around a little bit too. See where you're going with it. All right. Right on the bottom of the rocks, a little mist coming up. And bring it down right into the, and then I'm kind of use it. And that lightens up areas, and we'll come back and add some more water lines and stuff. So now let's start working on some of the other areas. We'll keep coming down. Here, we get a little sunlight hitting right in here. Bring some green in there. And then some more down in here. We got a nice bright area here. And we'll take some browns or maybe some dark blues along the shoreline once we do that. And let's see what this side we want some darker right under those evergreens. You can even add a little bit of, if you add some darks here, you want to kind of add some in other places so that that all, and watch the contours. It's sort of coming down into that little valley by the water. All right. So let's add maybe we got, oh, let's see. Maybe we got a bright bush down under here. We can add some greens to that. Where's my blender? And let's see, let's take, where's my darker one? A little shadow under there with that bush. And we can take some browns, some sticks coming up. So we got a nice little bush there just to break up that color. Maybe over here we can put some, maybe just kind of dot. Got something. I'm just kind of tapping in. Got some flowers there. Need some greenery underneath them. Where's my little, I'll bring some of that green up into there. And then dragging it out. So we have some shadows under it. Some sticks, some little something going along there. Let's go with some brighter greens in here. Oh, let's see. Let me take some blues right here. And some of the darker yellows. And you can see you can blend colors. That was yellow and blues. And it just gives you a little different shade of greens. Maybe we'll even add a few of the red flowers down here, a little patch down here growing. Yeah. And as you come closer, you get more detail, so we're just gonna kind of touch those. And so you've got more detail here. Let's do another bush over here, and let's start with the lighter green. And that comes down towards the water. Take some of the yellows just for the top. And just underneath that, my darkest greens. Maybe a touch of the blue in there. So, take my big blender and kind of and I'm not pushing real hard. I still want the lines in there. And I'm gonna go back to my greens. I'm going to take some of my browns. Right here, I'm going to give it a little shoreline. Kind of more or less pulled back. Got a little dirt there. You would pull a little down and reflect in the water, but basically we're pulling it back up into the grass area. Can even make it look like there's a few stones along the shore. one is just a little half curve. Take the whites and kind of just over the tops. And where's my glue? Sort of flowing. And on this side we're going to do the same thing. We'll pull some little bit of maybe there's a big stone here. A couple small ones behind it. Here's my white across the top. And this one we're going to kind of, since it's over the water, that would just pull back. And blues, nice water line underneath those. This one, find my greens. Where's my greens? Oh, here's my green pencil. This one, we just got some grass growing up underneath. Along this shore, some grasses. And you can take some yellows as well. And you can even use some of the browns. So we got a little grass coming along there. Maybe a little bit here. Let's go back to my greens. I got a few green ones here. And let's see, what are we gonna, let's put some sticks in here. Alright. Well, we can stop here, or let's get this corner taken care of. We'll darken that a little bit. Bring that right down. Or if you want, if you're adventurous, you can add a nice tree growing in here. Basically, oh, there's a good place right here. Maybe there's a tree here. Let's take a little bit of the white. Take some of the browns on the, I'm just sort of doing a choppy. And then I'm going to take some greens. Maybe some grasses growing up along the bottom. Take even some of the darker. And it's up to you if you want to just have a regular tree here. You can add some leaves to it. You don't need a lot. And where's my brown pencil? Maybe I have a little branch coming off there. And back to my greens. Green buds. Maybe some darker ones here. Hit some of that darker spots and kind of just blending them in with the middle green. Maybe right in here. We're gonna hide the trunk a little bit. And then you can just go in with your blender. Just don't want to lose them. Just kind of here and there. And you can see you don't need a lot of detail, you just need something that resembles, your eye will kind of pick up and add some color. Some right in here. All right, that looks pretty good. I think we got a pretty good painting. Stand back, take a look at it. See if you need anything else. Maybe you want to add your little bird up here, coming in. You can add a couple. Oh, there's maybe 3 of them just flying in. And then we're going to sign this one. Let's go over here. Okay. Clean my hands a little bit here. And we got our mat. Yeah, it looks like we've got a finished painting. Hope you enjoyed that.